Hello and welcome to the 8th lecture of Python concepts, while loop, break, and continue. So these are three important concepts in coding where you have to use conditions, or you want to run a loop, or you want to get out of a loop based on some given conditions, which you will run into very frequently. So first we have to be habituated or introduced with some other concepts so that you can use them in your codes. The first concept I'd like to introduce is printing a user input. Sometimes, let's say, in many times you see a prompt on a display screen and you click on some button and it does something according to your response. For example, let's say I have put it here, input, enter a number to print it. So, and I'm saving this into a string called message. And then I want to print the message, whatever I'm inputting. So that's how we use the input utility. So when I run this, it will show enter a number to print it. And you will see a prompt like this. Let's say you enter 20 and you press enter, it will print 20. So that's how you can actually use a prompt instead of using a very explicit block of code. And also you have to understand that although I have entered a number, it's not an integer, because when I'm typing a type of the message, the variable type is string. So whatever you are inputting in an input message or a prompt, it will be stored as a string, whether it be a number or a character, something like that. Now, another important concept is division versus mod in Python. When you are using the division operator here, 2 divided by 2, if you run it, you will get 1. But if you get a modulus operator, it will see whether it is divisible completely by this number. So when you use 2 mod 2, you will get 0 because there is no remainder. So that's one good way to check whether a number is divisible by another number. For example, if you use 7 mod 3, you will get 1, because after you divide it by 3, you will get a remainder of 1. So one is to get the resultant, the division operator, and another, the modulus operator, is to get the remainder. Now let's get introduced to the while loop. While loop is kind of like a for loop, but it will continue to run unless your given number becomes false. So by default, your given condition, your given condition or situation is true, and it will continue to run, and it will continue to go through that loop unless it reaches the end. So let's say you have defined a variable called my number, the initial value of which is 10. Now you are running a while loop. While my number is smaller than 20, it will print my number. So at first it will print 10, and then it will increase the value of the number, my number plus 1, and then it will check again whether it's smaller than 20. So then it will print 11, and then it will print 11, and then it will check again whether it's smaller than 20. So you can understand that this loop will run until it reaches 19 or 20. When it reaches 20, it will see that my number is no longer less than 20, so it will stop there. So when I run it, it will print a series of number from 10 to 19. So that's the utility of a while loop, and the difference between a while loop and for loop is this. Now you can also use a prompt like a user input to use in a while loop. Let's say you want to keep entering a number unless you press Q or quit. So and you are saving continuously the message of the user in this empty string. Now, while the message not equal to this operator is this operator means not equal to something like that. So let's say if your message is not Q, so unless you press the button Q, it will continue to keep this prompt, it will continue to keep your input into the message string, and it will print that message. For example, if I run this loop, it's printing, keep entering a number, press Q to quit, and there's a prompt. So I'm entering 10. It will ask again, I'm entering 20. It will ask again, I'm entering 30. It will ask again, let's say I'm pressing Q, and it will end. So this while loop will continue to run unless I press Q. So that's how you can use a user prompt to run a while loop. Let's say, and now let's introduce to another concept, break. So sometimes you want to get out of the loop if something happens. Let's say you are running a while loop, and when someone is running a while loop or doing something or using a user prompt, you want to keep printing something, and when someone presses Q or quit, you want to break out of the loop. So that's what happens. The break keyword actually keeps you out of the loop. So let's say while true. While true means any statement that starts with while true means by default it's true, and it will keep running forever unless you break out of the loop manually. So let's say you start with a prompt, I want to buy something. Let's say you want to create a grocery list, and while true, you will keep printing the items in the grocery list. So you are collecting the grocery into input prompt. And if grocery is equal to Q, when making the list, if someone prints Q, then it will break out of the loop and your list will end. Otherwise, it will keep printing the grocery. Let's say what happens when I run this. It says, I want to buy, let's say, apple, and it's showing another prompt. Let's say banana, and it's showing another, let's say, detergent, and it's showing another, and I'm pressing Q, and it's ending the loop here. So that's how we can use a user prompt in a while loop and use break loop to get out of the loop. It's getting out of the loop because I have actually printed Q here. Now let's use another concept, continue. It will get out of the loop, but it will take you, it will allow you to run the rest of the portion of the block. For example, while we were in break, when you used break, we have gone out of the loop and it ended. But in continue, it will not end. Rather, it will allow you to use the rest of the block of the code. So let's say we have started my number, and while my number is equal to 10, it will continue to increase my number. But inside I have used the if conditional. If my number mod 2 equal to 0, that is, if it's an even number, it will continue. That is, it will get out of the loop and it will start again, and it will see whether my number is equal to 10. And if it is not my number equal to 2, then it will print my number. So you can actually understand that it will print only the odd numbers which are smaller than 10. So what is happening here, that it's checking whether my number is smaller than 10, and then it has increased the value by 1. So when it is 1, it's printing my number. But if it is equal to but if it is an even number, then it's continuing. And then it's going to the beginning of the loop, and it's increasing the number again and coming back here. And then when the value is equal to 3, it's no longer going through the continuing loop, rather it's printing the number itself. So that's how we can use while loop, break, and continue, 3 very important concepts in Python coding. The next lecture will be another very important one, functions. I will see you there. Thanks.